George Harrison, ex-Beatle, speaks about Srila Prabhupada. I realised later on that he was much more incredible than what you could see on the surface. The thing that always stays is his saying, "I am the servant of the servant of the servant." I like that. I like Prabhupada's humbleness. I always liked his humility and his simplicity. The servant of the servant of the servant is really what it is, you know. None of us are God, just his servants. That was the thing about Prabhupada, you see. He didn't just talk about loving Krishna and getting out of this place, but he was a perfect example. He was a perfect example of everything he preached. I think Prabhupada's accomplishments are very significant. They're huge. Even compared to someone like William Shakespeare, the amount of literature Prabhupada produced is truly amazing. It boggles the mind. He sometimes went for days with only a few hours sleep. Srila Prabhupada has already had an amazing effect on the world. There's no way of measuring it. One day I just realised, God, this man is amazing. His contribution has obviously been enormous from the literary point of view, because he's brought the Supreme Person, Krishna, more into focus. Well, Prabhupada's definitely affected the world in an absolute way. What he was giving us was the highest literature, the highest knowledge. I mean, there just isn't anything higher. Some of Srila Prabhupada's achievements. Srila Prabhupada translated and wrote purports to 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Reading one verse with purport daily would take the reader 49.31 years to complete. He translated and wrote purports to 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. Reading one verse with purport daily would take the reader approximately 2 years to complete. He translated and wrote purports to the 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, 2,170 pages or 11,555 verses. Reading one verse with purport daily would take the reader 31.6 years to complete. Reading one page daily would take the reader 5.9 years to complete. He wrote Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, a synopsis of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He wrote Nectar of Devotion. He wrote Sri Ishopanishad. He created a monthly magazine, Back to Godhead, which at one point was distributed in excess of 1 million copies per month. Under his explicit direction and inspiration, thousands of artful illustrations were published in all the above mentioned books. He wrote over 7,000 personal letters to his disciples, published in 5 volumes of books. He gave lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled into 11 volumes of books. He gave lectures on Bhagavad Gita, compiled into 7 volumes of books. His darshan conversations have been compiled into 42 volumes of books. He produced many recordings. He established 108 temples, including Mayapur, Vrindavan, Bombay, with guest houses, Hyderabad Temple, New Vrindavan and Gitanagari farm communities. He published a total of 147 books. Reading one book a month would take 13 years. Reading one book every 2 months would take 25 years, about twice the time it took Prabhupada to write them. Probably we will not live that long. If one started reading today, he would not finish until the year 2029. Think of it. All the while, Prabhupada was constantly travelling, going around the world at least 12 times between the ages of 70 to 80. Plus he recruited from countries all over the world over 5,000 devotees and disciples who served him enthusiastically and gave up a sinful life chanting Hare Krishna in towns and villages worldwide.